Get no sleep last night? Yeah,
When'd you get in,
this
Todd?
stuff's keeping me awake.
When'd you get in?
From where?
Florida.
Oh, last
Oh,
Friday
Friday.
at 4.
Oh. Little chance to rest up then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are ready to go.
we can't.
I don't ever use it, but we are recording, we are live,
Okay.
so remember your mics.
Mic's on. Mic's on up there. Okay. Yes, we are recording. We're on the clock, even though the clock's not working. So I will call this meeting to order of the DeKalb County Commissioners, and the date today is February 6th, 2023.
Yes.
Good morning, Dottie. What you got today?
Good morning. Well, let's see. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the OSHA 300, which is a form that we keep a log in HR of all of our work comp claims. And the federal government has us track how many days, cases that we had with days away from work. And so we had really 9 injuries total that had some sort of days away from work. And what I need is the president of commissioners to sign the form so that then we can distribute it to all of our buildings, and we post this until April. So in years past, somebody has made a motion to have Bill, the president of commissioners, sign the form on behalf of the county. And so that's what I need. That's number 1.
Okay. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same.
Great.
We'll sign.
I'll bring that up to you in just a little bit. Oh, you have one too. Great. We are so prepared. Yes. I know. We double it. We double it. So the next thing to sign, you guys agreed that we would contract with Parkview to do the wellness checks in March. And so I will need to probably have to have a motion on this one to either have Bill sign it, or in years past, HR has signed it. The on-site liability waiver, meaning that, if any of those Parkview people injure, it's not their fault, it's whatever. And then the agreement for them to actually conduct the assessments on our property. And the ones that we're going to have them do, which is a part of that, is we've got the green package, which it's $28 per participant with a lipid profile, and then the A1C also included, and then the a biometrics, which is the other part of it, height, weight, blood pressure, body mass index, weight circumference, all of that, and that's $15. So for a total of $43 per employee, what you agreed to was to allow any county employee to do this, and you would pay for it, or any spouse who is on the health plan. And so we don't know how many people, but in years past, it's been 35, 40 participants in this. We're hoping for more. And then what we discussed a couple weeks ago was that if we desire a health risk assessment on a self-insurance plan, that these from Parkview that we're doing in March would count toward that health risk assessment, so that the employee wouldn't have to redo it at that time. Whatever we decide at that time.
One and done.
So, yeah. So my philosophy: if you don't ask, you don't get. I sent a message to insurance trustee, HILB group, and to Anthem, and told them, in years past, my broker had been available to do the on-site registration, be at the table, and to also give us, some giveaways, some fruit granola bars, water, so that, because this is a fasting blood work thing, to have a basket available for those participants. And actually, both Anthem and Hill Group have graciously offered those things, and also some little trinket like logo wear giveaways, flashlights or something, little first aid kits, things like that. And a few big ticket items for, say, put all participants' names in a hat and draw one for a big prize, like a duffel bag or something. So anyway, that's, and we are going to allow, as we have in the past, participants to upgrade to do more blood work, and that they would pay for that themselves. And and by the way, since, HR historically, in the last couple years with Anthem, the Parkview was going to charge $30 an hour to man the registration table. And so last year when we did it, HR manned that. We weren't going to pay the $30, an hour for them to do that. And since our broker didn't offer to do that in the past. So that's, we're going to save a little money that way. And anyway, so.
Last year, last 2 years, you guys just for HR to sign electronically
Yeah.
on your behalf. Is how we've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion for Dottie to sign.
Make that motion, to sign the documents electronically. Is that how we're going to do it? Electronically?
Yeah, they already sent them to me. If somebody else would like to sign them, all I have to do is ask Parkview to, send it to a
That's
different
all
email address.
No, I don't.
You sign.
I'll sign. Sign my life away. Okay.
I will second.
Okay, motion and second. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion carries. Sign
Wonderful.
away,
Thank you. Okay,
Take the load off of my,
Oh, yeah. One less signature, that carpal tunnel,
Right,
right?
yeah, carpal tunnel, yeah.
Another thing, we are working on, I mentioned to you probably back in October, November, about CPR training, offering that again. And at the time, you guys did agree that we had one option. Central Communications has 2 employees out there who are certified instructors. And Brian Humbarger has graciously offered their services to do the training. He would pay them their regular wages, but commissioners would just have to pay I think it's $25 for the certificate. It's a wallet certificate. It goes through the Red Cross, Heart Association, whichever it is. If we were to do it with another entity like Parkview or the Red Cross or somebody else, they make you pay, $200 for the training plus those cards. Anyway, so you had decided that, hey, if pay the hourly fee, the hourly rate, wages that the employee, but then you guys would pick up the cards. So I'm working on that for more of our employees. Central Communications did their own training because, that's kind of an odd situation out there. So Brian Humbarger now has, how many, Susan? Is it 3 or 4, 5 employees that need? Okay, all righty. Anyway, so, yeah.
So I don't
out of the safety,
They were talking a very small amount too, right? Total, probably out of lighted, I would assume.
okay, all right.
Now, how are they going to provide the training if they're working their normal job? Is it on a weekend or what?
Well, they work 2 on, 2 off, do. So it could be on a Wednesday during the day that they are actually off work, and then our other employees would be, maybe on work, some would not. They'd have to come in and do their own.
So we might have some overtime too then.
I would hope not for the employees who are taking
No,
the
but
class.
the ones that are given the.
I don't know. Brian was,
He's covering it out of his budget anyway.
Yeah, I know. I just wondered.
Right,
how
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Brian just offered that he would be happy to do that because more people need to be CPR trained.
Okay.
Yeah. We broached the subject last time in the safety meeting and also in a department heads meeting about hopefully having at least one person in every department.
Good idea.
Especially with the football player situation, that has really, the Heart Association is really going to push that this month. This is Heart Awareness Health Month. And so they're going to push that. So, okay, I think we've got that taken care of. I am having a meeting this week with Cintas regarding canceling their services for the first aid kits, and we have people in every department who has a first aid kit taking care of that. We have a few departments that already had their own situations, so we're not going to mess with those. We're just going to take care of the ones where a few years ago when we pushed for the first aid kits in every building. And I'm having a meeting this week with the Boston Mutual rep. We had talked several weeks ago about allowing them to come in, life insurance policies. We already have them as a vendor, and that was approved, but I wanted to let you know, and we're getting that formalized. In the department heads meeting, there was a discussion on a protocol / policy for public access records requests, and that the department heads would really appreciate having that framework from you so that they knew what they should be doing when given some of those requests. A couple of our department heads are very familiar with it, and they have their way that they do it. But I think the rest of the department heads would really like to have a little more formal instruction, a framework on that. When it comes to hiring, the sheriff gave me his merit deputy posting, and I've got that posted all over the place. And over the weekend, we had a lot of inquiries who will be receiving application packets for that. We, of course, continue the confinement officer posting, and I do believe we have an onboarding this morning for a confinement officer. The health department still has the 2 openings, the nurse and the inspector. And that department, we really need to think succession plan. If you take a look at the length of service for the nurses and the health inspectors, it really needs to be looked at because there could be some retirements coming up, and we can't even fill the RN and the inspector right now.
Inspector full-time.
Yes. Yep. Both. Yeah, both of the positions are full-time.
And that's helping with the restaurant inspections and so forth.
Correct, and the septic tanks, and yes, exactly. Very important for the health of our county. Community corrections still has that part-time change facilitator opening. They are hoping to have information to me this month to put before the job classification subcommittee to maybe change those because evidently the rules for becoming a sub, which was the criteria for that position, teaching in a public school, has changed somewhat. So they want the job description to reflect that, and they're hoping that would then open up the pool of eligible candidates. Right now, people can't make the 30 hours of college credit, you know, and it pays $16 an hour, and it's part-time. So, you know. The other thing we have, probation department has a probation officer assistant, and so we recruited for that. They had over 30 applications, and sorting through those, they really require somebody with a degree, and that person also needs to be willing to do same-sex drug screens, observable drug screens. So it takes a special person who wants to see somebody anyway. So there's that. Anyway, that's what we're doing here. And the elephant in the room would be health plan, broker, self-insurance. So I thought I would just segue into that, not knowing if you wanted to discuss it now while I'm here, or if you guys had that in the back of your minds to discuss a little bit later.
No, I think now's a good time to have that discussion and hopefully make that decision. So, what do we got?
After going through everything, I'm leaning towards Apex for us, and I think they have the experience and longevity too. I think we had two great candidates to do it, but I feel as though Apex is going to be a longer player in the system. Just worried about the other candidate possibly retiring in the future or something, you know, just done it a long time, and we need someone that's going to stay in this game. We got to stay in it a while if we're going to do it.
Well, and he's kind of unavailable for a while, and we need to be on this
Yeah,
ASAP.
yeah.
So, motion?
So what we're actually doing is we are changing our broker of record
Yes,
from insurance trustees to Apex.
for health.
Just for health insurance.
Just for health.
Yeah, that would be, the motion would be to name them a broker of record so we can get proper quotes and have them pursue it, and that would be my motion.
And I will second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any other additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Apex it is.
Okay, I will go. Oh, okay. Hold that thought, whatever it is. Okay, yes, I will take care of informing the other two and informing the one.
Right.
So, so that we can get started on whatever it is that we need to get started on. So thank you very much for making that decision now.
Big decision.
Keep that moving
And
along.
I know you guys mulled all kinds of things over and over, and we've had all kinds of information thrown at us and choices, lots of choices. So thank you.
Do we still need to clear up this money for the CPR training? Where that comes?
I'll find it.
You find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All I needed to know is light it.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Anything for Dottie?
Anyone? Did you want me to come back at 10:15 for the executive session, or do you have enough information from me?
I think you should come back if you would.
Okay. I am,
Yeah.
yes, happy to.
We'll
Yeah.
always have a question. Seems like. So yeah, if you would.
I will be happy to.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else?
I think you're
Okay, I'll,
go temporarily. Okay. Payroll. Oh, there is no payroll.
It's not on the list, it can't get done.
No, we can't pay them.
No.
All right, let's clean up some of these miscellaneous payroll.
Well, just to keep Susan smiling, I'll move to approve payroll.
I'll second.
A motion second to approve payroll. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Payroll is approved. Claims.
Motion to approve claims?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve claims. Are there any additional comments, questions, or et cetera? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Claims are approved. Minutes.
Motion to approve minutes?
Motion second to approve minutes. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Minutes are approved. And then travel.
4 or 5? Read 'em. I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I will second.
A motion is second. Any additional comments? There was one I had a question about. It was, all there was mileage on it, and yet it was like a 3-day event. But there was no motel or meals. Is that paid by somebody else?
Was it for Angela?
Yeah.
She must be
Terre Haute's only,
What's the mileage on that?
the total mileage is 432, but that's probably for all.
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
Terre Haute's not that far.
Farther than Indy.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it's west of
Oh,
Indy.
yeah, that's right, south, yeah. She must only be doing it for 1 day.
There's no good way to get there.
Maybe she's staying with relatives or something, I don't know.
I wondered. I didn't. No.
Let's not ask her to spend more.
Is that the will all come
Right,
from stress grant? So, I mean, we'll get it back. We'll pay it out
Yeah.
of their budget, but then,
It'll come back.
yeah, it does.
I saw that the grant paid for the mileage, but I didn't
see
see a
that.
hotel, I just assumed, I thought it was 1 day, I didn't even notice it was 3 days.
I guess we pass it as is.
Yep,
Unless, the only other thing, I mean, unless somebody else
Yeah.
asks for that part. It does say here. She must
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, we got a few more minutes. You want to go into the know before policy review? Did you get a chance to read through that and review that?
I didn't know what the severe punishment would be for not following or however it was worded.
progressive.
Progressive discipline.
Progressive discipline,
Yeah.
there we are. Is that waterboarding or
That's
what?
kind of, well, you start with waterboarding. Go from there. Cat of nine tails and, yeah,
Waterboarding and then hung up by the thumbs. Just minor.
drawn and quartered, you know, all that good stuff. I think that's pretty well stated.
Okay,
Accomplishes what we, what the intent of our conversation was, to make sure that we've got everybody on board.
right, right.
Don't have some catastrophic cyber incident.
And for those who may not know what Know Before is our internet training to make sure we do not make mistakes and click onto sites that we shouldn't be clicking on to. There's a lot of effort to invade our internet. And so we have this training and we're making a policy that everybody needs to participate in this training. That's what it's kind of about.
So is this sufficient, or do we have to officially do resolution or a official amendment, or is there anything official that we have to do to make it
We
hard
couldn't
and
just-
fast?
Well, I assume you have like a set of policies for employees?
We add it to the
In our
handbook.
Handbook, yes.
Yeah.
I would say you add it to the handbook, so make a motion to add it to the handbook, I guess. I don't think you have to have an ordinance for that.
Okay.
Yeah, because the handbook's already,
Except that doesn't cover the courts because they have their own handbook. So
I don't think you're going to get them to.
I think we are.
No, I mean, they'll just comply, I think, normally
Oh,
anyway.
okay,
You're not
yeah.
going to force them to, is what
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so I think they'll comply just
Oh, I think so too,
automatically.
yeah, yeah,
They want to be a part of the team on this, I'm sure,
yeah, I agree.
especially with their sensitivity of,
Well, yeah, there's
information
like,
and-
well, lots of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want,
So in this motion, can you make it like effective today? So we have a hard and fast
Sure.
start date?
so,
I'd make a motion that we make the know before training effective today and include it in the employee handbook. And ask the courts to comply also. There you are.
and I will second that.
a motion and a second. Are there any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion is carried.
Okay.
Set? Let's go for it.
I'm hoping to. Any other counties. And really like to get that.
Pay their bills or to pay what they bill us? Okay.
We, multiple years ago,
I like that idea. Just
Only
simplifies
make-
things.
only makes sense. Writing, cutting manual checks is just time consuming and
Do you know of any that would kick back on that and say, no, we don't want to do that for any reason? Is there?
but if they want,
think
if they
they're-
want, if they want to get paid.
Yeah, if you want paid, it's,
And,
Yeah.
and we've tried to get them to go that way. We do 2 claim runs, big claim runs a month, and we've tried to get them more and more to go that way. And if you are direct deposit, then it's easy to flip them through every 2 weeks. But if you're not, then we only do it once a month as we cut those checks because it is a very time-consuming process.
checks are, most people don't even know how to write a check anymore, so, yeah.
Right.
Did you have a comment? Up to Mike? Would you step up to Mike?
She made the comment about no checks. I have a mother that's almost 90 years old. She doesn't like technology.
Right.
There's still people in DeKalb County that don't want technology. That was just my comment about direct deposit type thing.
Would this involve personal transactions?
No, we're just vendors.
It's just vendors.
Well, it'd be anything that,
Anything we pay.
I mean, anything we
Yeah,
pay.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if for some reason you pay too much on your property taxes and you get a refund, then it would refund right back into your bank.
And that's probably one of the simplest technological advances that we deal with. I mean, there's really not that much. You give them your information and it's done. You don't have to repeat it
Yeah,
once
we're,
it's in the system.
we're dealing with the same problem at work. We go into the ACH to enter them all, and then you got to go out and go into checks for this one, and then back to ACH. It's save a bunch of time. And most vendors, and notwithstanding the lady here that talked about her mother, I agree with that. Older people don't want anything to do with this, but the vendors, they're billing, I mean, they're running a business, they know what it's about.
Right.
So it's a different criteria there.
You want to act on this today?
That's up to you.
Be fine
guys.
with me. I'd make a motion, we require vendors to accept direct deposit as payment,
Effective today.
effective today.
Right now.
With the caveat that we know that it might take some time for them to agree to it,
Correct.
but make,
Yeah.
make it known to them today that we're requiring it.
So I will second that.
A motion and a second. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You have your wish.
Susan should be really smiling.
Yes. Happy, happy, happy. All right, let's launch into Lynn Reinhardt. Is Lynn here? Lynn, you have something you wanted to say?
Good morning, commissioners, elected officials, staff, neighbors, DeKalb County residents, friends, and so forth. I want to thank you first for this time that you have allowed me to come to you this morning to make this presentation. I guess we're all aware you have some tough choices to make ahead of you. Will you make them with all of the facts and data available to you? Or will you make them based on emotion? I hope you will make them with not only all of the residents' best interest in mind, but ultimately the county that you oversee best interest at the forefront. I want to thank everyone that's been involved in the discussions and been a part of this over the last 2 years. Thanks to the companies for showing their interest in DeKalb County and be willing to make the investment in DeKalb County that they are planning. I want to touch on three main topics today. The first one will be the fiscal aspect of it and tax revenues. Secondly, looking at the setbacks for the project and the proposed changes to the previous ordinance, or the current ordinance, I should say. And then also discuss the fear of change and the NIMBY syndrome that we hear discussed. And then I got a couple other miscellaneous topics if we should have time to follow up with after that. So I guess looking at the fiscal side of it, that discussion was kind of opened up with Mr. Sturry's comments last week on some financial tax revenue information from the Light Source BP, the LASA project, and the projected revenues that could bring into the county and DeKalb Eastern community over that 30-year period. And I didn't have those numbers for sure, but I'm thinking it was somewhere around 25 million. I talked to some people from the EDF Renewable Sculpin Project, and they didn't necessarily have all of those numbers put together. I think they maybe did share just a rough estimate of maybe $30 million in projected property tax revenue over the life of the project. So I tried to follow that up and think, where might I be able to access some more information on that locally? So that took me to the DeKalb Economic Development Partnership, I believe. Not sure on the official name that way, but anyways, talked with Anton King, the director of the economic development. to ask if he had looked at any of those numbers as far as compiling them that he would have to share with you and the council as you're making the decisions for the county going forward. He said that he had some preliminary numbers, but nothing he wished to share quite yet at this time because they were waiting on getting the analysis completed and back from the Baker Tilly group, which you folks had hired to do that work for you. And so kind of hearing that kind of made me think, why are we potentially looking at making rules that could jeopardize these projects and the revenue stream that they might bring to DeKalb County before we have even seen those numbers? Wouldn't it make sense to slow down, wait till you get those numbers back from them so that you can analyze them and really understand what you're looking at? Because I don't think that the county as a whole does. It's very easy to get people on board to stop solar because you have some questions, you have some fears, you have some concerns. But does the county know how much money these companies could bring to DeKalb County? These would be a revenue stream that the citizens, the taxpayers of DeKalb County today, will not have to pay because these, what they want to refer as outside companies, are going to come into DeKalb County and pay that for us. Don't overlook that opportunity for the county, for the schools, for the fire departments, fire territories, and everything that depends on property tax revenue. On top of that, you should consider the possibility of economic development funds, which you as commissioners would have the opportunity to negotiate with these companies. These would be entirely new funds above and beyond the revenue stream that's already out there dedicated to the system that's in place as far as schools and what they can use those funds for, county, what they can use those funds for, and so forth. If you look across the state, you will see a number of the leaders in renewable energy where they had the wind turbine projects. I don't know for sure. I mean, those have been out there for over 10 years. And you can look at the definite results that that has had in those counties. Primary things that you hear talked about are funds for schools that they did not have available before, or whatever the school sees fit or the need for, because they aren't having to follow a certain revenue stream for what it can go for. If they want to use it for teacher salaries and they made that decision, they could use it for that. If they want to use it to build new facilities, they could use it for that without having to go through the ballot initiative project. So it's something to think about, I think. So let's move on and talk about setbacks. Original ordinance was 200 feet with a buffer, 400 feet without a buffer. And I believe that was changed from the original information out of the Plan Commission that it was just going to be a flat 400 feet. And I believe it was one or some of the commissioners that thought it was appropriate to reduce it to 200 feet if they were to add the adequate buffering that way. Yet today, we're backing up from that, considering going to 400 foot with a buffer and potentially increasing that setback to as much as 1,000 feet, depending on the number of sides that a particular residence might be affected by. When you talk 1,000 feet, you're almost a quarter of a mile. You're over 3 football fields. The 400 foot is over 1 football field, so I know a lot of people have a hard time putting that in perspective when you talk about feet. So that's just one way that the common person might get a better perspective for it. I guess the best way is to go out on some sites and look at it and measure off 400 feet or 1,000 feet and see just what that is. So there are some existing solar facilities in DeKalb County, so I looked that up on our DeKalb County Beacon site. So the one we're most all aware of is the Auburn Renewables just outside of town here along I-69. And I looked at that, there's 8 residents out there surrounding that project that are all under 1,000 feet away from it. And yes, I will admit they do not have solar on 3 or 4 sides of them. So that is a difference, but it is something that you can use to get a perspective of what that distance would be. So there's 8 that are under 1,000 feet. There's 7 that are less than 800 feet, 6 that are under 600 feet, 4 under 400 feet, and 1 under 200 feet. Wouldn't it be worthwhile for someone to see what the comments of these residents are after a year of that existing facility there? Have we heard complaints coming forward from those individuals? I realize that that is a project between the county and city, as it was a city zone, but it still does have county jurisdiction and so forth. I believe you did approve economic development funds from that project that came to the county and the other taxing districts in that area. A second one, and less people are aware of it, but is a solar project just outside of Waterloo over there near the UPS and Nucor facilities. And I know a smaller facility than what these projects are, but nonetheless, there are 3 residences there that are less than 1,000 feet from those solar panels, and there's 2 that are less than 200 feet. That project is in the Waterloo extraterritorial jurisdiction on zoning, but the current zoning on that is suburban residential. So, with that, I guess I was going to move on to the third topic, was the fear of change and NIMBYs, not in my backyard. Yeah, we all understand, and it's easy to get caught in that syndrome. I'm sure we all do. Yeah, we have to recognize the legitimate concerns that can bring. But I guess one thing that I can bring that's kind of that I can relate to was a few years ago, Dollar General had approached me and wanted to build a Dollar General store in Spencerville. And I thought, wow, Spencerville should really be all over this, all for this, to have a local store that they can shop in without having to go to Leo or Auburn. And a little did I know, as things unfolded because of rezoning that had been done, because I was looking at a property that I owned. And we found all the opposition to it. And we're like, wow, what's that about, So we came and went through the hearings, and ultimately our rezoning, or their rezoning request, I maybe should say, was denied. And a lot of people had, the fear that they had a small gas station convenience store with that. The fear was Dollar General closes, we're going to lose that store, then we're going to lose our gas station and such. And people said, you know, we don't want Dollar General. We're not going to do business with Dollar General. Dollar General comes to Spencerville. We're going to boycott it. So Dollar General comes back with another plan, builds at a different location. They've got a great store there, seems to be thriving. People that I saw at the hearings that said, okay, that we're not going to support that store. You know, I see them walking in and buying stuff. You see cars parked there every night. It took some getting used to because it was a difference for that community. But I don't think that you'll find many people in Spencerville today that will wish that Dollar General store went away, which is what their initial thought was. I'll just go quickly to the part that I had asked to try to speak on last week, and that was in regards to Todd's question the week before relating to the erosion from the solar panel similar to the drip line of the house. So I just want to look at, let's pretend this is the roof of your house. So you've got this slope, and it's, you know, maybe 25 or 35, 40 feet that way, and it's up 1 or 2 stories off the ground, that's water's running off. And like you said, if you don't have eaves and downspouts, you will see where you get that trough of erosion from where that force of that water droplets coming down, splash and dislodge the soil and wash it away. But in comparison to that, this is our solar panel, about 6 foot. So we're not getting near the water that you got on your roof running on one side. And then remember, you got the other side of your house as well. Plus this is near the ground, so you don't have the height to get the velocity, as well as these solar panels oscillate or rotate, whatever you want to call it, to track the sun. So that drip line's never going to be the same place. It's going to be here when the panel's at this angle. When the panel comes up flatter, it's going to extend out. Panel tips over the other way, it's going to be on the other side. So I know Bill's telling me my time's up, so just in wrapping up, I guess I just want to say, don't fast track your decisions now that could jeopardize these projects and the anticipated windfall they could bring to the county, the schools, fire territories or departments, and every taxpayer in DeKalb County. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, we will move on at this point to additional solar discussion. Anybody that would like to speak against or for? The lady here in the front, we've already had you up and signed in, so.
My name is Dawn Rum Schrader. I live on County Road 52, St. Joe. My house, I went out and measured it this morning. From my foundation to the middle of County Road 52, I have 40 feet. The ground right across from me is going to go into solar if it goes through. I don't want to see a section of a length of a football field taken out of that field because I need to see ground. Because when you drive down the road, it's going to be closer to the road than you come to my house, and then it's got to go back a length of a football field. To me, you don't want to waste the ground. That's wasteful. That's solar panels in that ground area could be producing energy for DeKalb County. Mm-hmm. But you take that amount of solar panels away from that, then that ground's sitting idle and it is not producing anything but grass, scrub trees, scrub brushes. Yesterday I came down from Michigan. I went to see my daughter. I drove I-69 down. I don't know how many houses between Michigan state line down to Indianapolis that sat less than a football field away from the berm of I-69. And you're talking about cars driving 70 miles plus, semi-trucks. We're not asking, solar farms aren't asking to do that. And my understanding is my road is a dirt road. It's not a gravel road, it's a dirt road. I cannot open my windows in the summertime because if a car goes by, you can see the dust roll right into my windows. And by the solar farm coming in across from my property, I'm understanding that that road is going to be upgraded to chip and seal. That's going to eliminate the dust, and it's going to improve my road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some others on the list here. Susan has just reminded me. Sarah? Yeah, let's get you up and get you through, and we'll go right down the list here. You have 3 minutes.
Full 3, thank you. I'll keep it brief. The light is blue, Susan. Good morning. My name is Sarah Massara. I'm the project developer for Sculpin Solar with EDF Renewables. Thank you for giving me a few moments. Like I said, I'll keep it brief. I'd like to leave time for others in the room. As you're all aware, the Sculpin Solar team has been working to develop a 180 megawatt project in DeKalb County, bringing a minimum $200 million investment. We've been developing the project and planning to submit a permit application under the existing solar ordinance, which again was put in place after much consideration between the commissioners, the area plan commission, and with ample opportunity and ample community input. We've also been listening to the conversations at these past commissioner meetings over the past few weeks, and we've asked how we might also provide our input as a stakeholder and interested party to the solar ordinance. With that in mind, we have prepared a letter to the commissioners as well as the Area Plan Commission, addressing some of our comments and concerns around these proposed amendments. So before I pass them out to you all, we'd like to just acknowledge that we've prepared this letter with a shared goal in mind, and that is the efficient utilization of one of DeKalb County's greatest resources, its land, while also protecting private property rights as a cornerstone to American society. So thank you for your time, and thank you in advance for your careful consideration to our comments and questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next on the list is Ben Sturry.
Ben Sturry, 5591, County Road 75A. As I think of the new ordinances and stuff, I'm wondering if we're going to start, I'm for a decommissioning plan, I agree with that stuff, but are we going to start doing this for other businesses coming in? If we would have another steel mill or other factories? We don't do it for residential, these extra ordinances or anything, but for just because it's labeled as solar, we're going above and beyond just on this industry, and that's it. We're not doing this for any other industry in our county. Obviously, with the overlay, Chris spoke about how this adds extra protection to the community, which is good. But my question is are we going to have meetings on other businesses, and are these people going to show up complaining that we don't have decommissioning plans for, another steel mill or another factory coming into our area? Are we going to keep these? Do we have setbacks for other factories? And if it's industrial, we don't have these big setbacks. I'm just wondering why we're treating this separate, completely different than we are any other industry in DeKalb County. I'm afraid you're going to start scaring away other industry. We need to, with progression, is some some new stuff, but it's like the progression of the wheel. We can't still have the square wheel. We went to the round wheel, and then people liked it. So there's a little bit of unknown, but we also need to move forward. That's it.
Anybody want to answer?
I'll
Yeah, you
answer the
did.
question since you asked it. Yeah, the asking someone to have a decommissioning plan is because we're allowing land used for what it's not zoned for. So the idea is to turn it back to the pristine farm ground that it was beforehand. I've said all along, you want to install these solar panels, why don't you do it the easy way? Just turn your ground to industrial and have the smaller setbacks and get the full use of the land as it is properly zoned. That's the biggest problem I have is we're saying property rights. What about the property rights of a residential that wants to do something on his land that it's not allowed to do? He has to change the zoning. It's the same thing. So we're giving special use of the land, but we're requiring bigger setbacks and decommissioning because it wasn't supposed to be used for that to start with. And that's the idea. I would say convert it to industrial. If it's an industrial application, I can't run a commercial business on residential land. It has to be changed. The zoning has to be changed. So, and as Mr. Reinhardt stated, that might get some opposition, but once it's done, it's in. And you don't have to follow these big setbacks and have these elaborate plans. So I'd rather see it be industrial.
Mike, anything? No. Okay. Next up, I have on the list Andrew Provine.
There's nothing for me to put my address on. Andrew Provine's 3920 County Road 75. I actually have really appreciated listening to this side because it's not something we think about that often. However, I will say that I heard that most of this was about money, and this definitely has the ability to bring a bunch of money to the county. Could be a good thing. I will agree with that. I feel like as far as industry goes, there's not a lot of industry where we take massive buildings or industrial operations and surround people's houses with them. If you actually look at the layout of these projects, you can see multiple houses in a row that will have solar wrapped around the houses. So once again, I'm going to say thank you to the commissioners for the extra setbacks. Once again, you did leave that open to the landowners to say, I will actually make a deal. You can come closer and we're fine with this. So someone who has, let's say they own land and the solar is far away, they don't want that gap, they can say, that's fine. You can come closer, I'll make a deal with you. So you've given more protection for your citizens, but also given the option for them to give up some of that in order to regain some of the land. So if they want that land used, it's efficient. They can say, use it, let's do this. So I want to thank you for that. I do want to point out that I've seen some of the original ordinances, the versions, and I've talked to many of the people that were in the fight a couple years ago. I was not, but it seems like most of the compromise was against the people fighting this. So they gave up more. And it seems like the people that are pro have had an advocate most of this time. 3 weeks ago, you guys made amendments to the development ordinance and you did higher setbacks. And then the last 2 weeks, it seems like those have been tried to be walked back. So Commissioner Watson, for 2 weeks now, you have tried to walk these setbacks back. I don't understand why, when you can still negotiate and get less setbacks if you really want. I do want to point out, Ben, you had said that if I'd ever been cut off, I have been cut off a number of times. I've been cut off in many meetings. I actually have a couple emails here where it says, are we going to allow Andrew Provines to talk anymore? 38 seconds should be enough. I have emails in here where Commissioner Watson is actually doing the work for the companies. They're sending him the abatement plans. He is then forwarding them on to Rick Ring. That doesn't seem like that's the right process. Is that the right process to have a commissioner do the negotiations, offer to have meetings with the solar company, then pass their abatements forward to the county council? Seems like that would be a financial operation, and it should go straight to council. There are also emails. Oh, there's other emails where we've actually asked other counties how they handle this, and they said, be transparent. Tell your people what you plan to use the money for. Tell your people everything about this. But that doesn't seem like what's happening here. So we don't know what the money is going to be spent for. We know that the proper process has not been taken in order to actually deal with these solar companies. What else? Here's one where it says you are welcome to send a copy of your EDA, your economic development application, to me and I will go over it. Once again, that seems like something that should go straight to council, tax abatements, then it comes back to commissioners. Commissioners should go over it and actually negotiate it. So it just seems like they've had an advocate the entire time where we have not. So now that we actually are speaking out more, we do appreciate the setbacks. We do appreciate what you're doing. Solar, if it comes in, it comes in. It is what it is. We've just fought for more protections for all of the citizens of this county.
Thank you, Andrew.
Still more.
Would like to make one comment about setbacks. And keep in mind, setbacks are from the foundation of the house, not the property line. So if a house is sitting 300 feet off the property line, there's only going to be 100 feet of setback off that property line. So the waste that we're talking about as far as wasted land isn't as great as what's being explained in these presentations. It's going to be a net loss, yes, but it's not 400 feet. It's going to be lost, or 1,000 feet it's going to be lost. The distance from that house to that property line is part of that setback. So just something to keep in mind, just something I wanted to clarify. It's not as much wasted ground as we're talking about. And we just need to, like I said, I've said it before, I said it again, we just want to be fair. We're trying to be fair. And that is the conclusion of the solar discussion.
I have something to say
When-
in rebuttal to Mr. Promines. I have said from the beginning of this process that I would give these developers the same consideration I would any other developer that came to town. What I've said in these emails is that send me the information, I'll digest it, just exactly the way I did with the packets you've given me, emails you've sent me. There's no difference. It's just gathering information. There was no advocacy in there at all. I said, send me your EDA, I'll look it over. I also said that we would not consider any developer-authored EDAs or decommissioning agreements or anything else. So that's certainly not advocating for that. That's simply gathering the information. So you can twist it any way you want.
I'm not twisting anything. They're emails. They're emails where
Right.
you're garnering meetings with solar companies. They're emails where you're passing their abatement information after it's been filled out to the council instead of it going directly to the council. Seems like you're a little bit out of your lane.
Well, no, I'm not. My lane is what, the same as I would give any developer. Same way I worked with TQS on their project, same way I worked with Creighton Wealth Management on their process. I have not treated any of these projects, solar projects, any differently than I have any other developer that I've worked with over the last 18 years.
Okay, we have to conclude. We got an agenda to stick to. Appreciate everybody coming in, appreciate everybody expressing your thoughts and opinions. That's what it's about. And we just want to be open and upfront with everything. So again, I thank you. Okay, Tracy Bell. Tracy and the outside. You want to give a call, Lynn, for Tracy Bell? I won't be able to make it. I was going to, but I'll be out of town.
Good morning.
Morning, Tracy. What
Are you
got
ready
to-
for me?
Yes, we're a little late. Apologize.
That's okay. I was just waiting for you to get finished. I didn't want to interrupt. Did you all receive did you get my documents for them for the agenda? Okay. Well, I am going to give you my copy of the invoice to sign, and then I'll start my agenda. Okay. Just kind of past review. Currently, we have 15 part-time dart drivers. We are up 11 drivers, considering I have one in training right now. So we will have 16 to start this year off. When I started in 2021, I think was the year I started at the end, I had 6 drivers when I started. So we have exceeded where we wanted to be. I think we had 18 prior to COVID is how many we're driving. So obviously our routes have increased. We went from 3 routes to 7. So we're running 7 to 8 routes right now, which is good. That's where we wanted to be. Price increase went into effect January 9th. We've talked about that several times, about increasing rider fares. So travel, we increased it by $2. So travel within DeKalb County was $5 per passenger per stop within the same city town. If they go from town to town, it went to $6. And then we increased $10 for out-of-county rides. So it's $35 for a one-way trip and $50 for a round trip. So if we're picking up somebody in DeKalb County and taking them to Fort Wayne, we had a $10 increase on those. So far, we've not had any issues with that in the community. I got quite a bit of backlash on it on social media, but just tried to reiterate, with inflation, with gas prices, and we were still the lowest county and hadn't raised our prices since 2017. So I think, they understood. There was a lot of people that understood, and it's just a much needed, valuable resource in the county that they were glad to still have it and pay a couple dollars more for writing than to lose it altogether.
It's still a good bargain.
It is.
It really is.
It is. Well, and we have tried to, reiterate that we have, discounts if you buy the punch card, you get one ride free. I mean, so we've tried to, keep it as low as possible for the community, knowing there's a lot of people that rely on this transportation. But at the same note, with gas prices and repairs is the big one right now. And just it went up to 110% increase on buying a new vehicle for this year. We had 110% increase on price. So we have to do something to offset that. Our compliance review is in the works. I've been messaging back and forth with Susan on a date. They've set that up for April 1st. They're going to be doing documentation with me. Once I get everything in for our compliance review, then it's 45 days, and then we have a site visit where one of you can come out to DART and they meet with us out there for that compliance review. It's every 4 years. So last one was in 2019.
And any commissioner, is that president of commissioners?
What's that?
Is that president of commissioners or any commissioner?
I don't know. I believe it's Todd Jennings, which is our manager for NDOT,
Yeah,
is who is going to be conducting that with us.
right.
And then one of you, and then I have to have several staff, like one of each of my staff members there for them to question. And
Do you have a date in mind for that?
it'll be July 26th is the date. We don't really get an option to change that. And I think that's on a Wednesday. Yes, I put that on there. Wednesday, July 26th.
Okay.
And Susan is welcome to come as well if she wants to come. Vehicle maintenance has been challenging for the year. The most part, we've been able to keep our vehicles in good shape in order to keep them on the road. Still waiting on that 2021 Transit that we're supposed to be getting. We are now in a lotto with 5 other counties left. We are the last of the draw. So it's got to be soon. But we ordered that back in 2020 for 2021, so we're still waiting on that. The problem is all of our transits are over 150,000 miles. So at this point, it's becoming necessary. We're doing everything we can to keep them on the road. I just put a couple of highlights on here so you knew where we were facing. Van number 6, we just replaced an engine for $9,456 in December. Transit 15 needs a new transmission, $3,500. And as I was walking out the door, Transit 26 needs a new transmission for $3,000. So we talked with the bus garage, the bus depot, to find out what we could do about these transmissions being older. And they're going to start flushing. Don't hold me to it because I'm not mechanically inclined, but they're going to start flushing these transmissions every, I think, 50,000 miles to try to help us prolong the life of these, because we're only getting one. And I have no idea if there's any more in the future. And those transits are huge to us because we take large groups of young people over to Alliance Industries to work on a regular basis. We take dialysis patients. And for us to have to take multiple trips rather than take these big transits that can carry 8 of them at once, going to be a huge difference for us. So
I just want to ask a question of Todd, considering the use of these vehicles, the transmission stop and go on is 50,000 miles a more realistic interval?
Yeah, you want to do one of two things. Never flush it or flush it often and early. If you wait to 150,000 miles and flush the transmission, I'll guarantee you'll be putting a transmission in it within a month. You
So we
dislodge all
should
that
not
stuff.
be doing that at
I would
this
not
point.
flush what you currently have. I would change the fluid, but I would not flush it. However, if you're going to start with a brand-new vehicle, yes, and 50,000 would be sufficient. I would flush right away, but our experience is when we flush someone's transmission with over 100, 150,000, they come back 2 weeks later with a burn-up transmission.
oh, that's
So,
good to know.
Just something
Okay.
to think about. You can
Well-
drop the fluid and put new fluid in, but when you flush it, believe it or not, it causes damage.
Causes issues.
Because there's already plaque in there. It's almost like having your arteries cleaned out and it all goes into your brain and clogs your brain up. And yeah,
Gotcha.
it's the same thing with
Okay.
transmissions.
Yeah.
Good
But if
to
you
know.
stay on it
Thank you.
early, right from the beginning, you'll be fine.
So for the new one that comes in,
Do it at 50,000 and stay on that schedule.
Okay.
Because the manual will say 100,000, but severe duty, and you're kind of more of a severe duty, you're stop and go. So,
well, it's difficult because we don't have a maintenance on like site.
Yeah.
So we just kind of have always been at the hands of wherever we have taken it. The wonderful thing is now working with the bus depot.
yeah.
They're 100% for us, trying to do the best they can for us. So we go to over to Butler and have a really good relationship with them now, and they've been helping us tremendously.
In addition to that flush, of course, the filter. You change that filter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people flush them and they back flush the filter thinking that's sufficient, but you should replace the filter too.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Gas prices have been all over the place this year, of course. We've had our gas for the year was $50,580.21 was what we ended up with on gas prices. I'd started talking to a lot of other counties and they use their co-ops for gas. And so I started kind of digging into what all that meant. They got locked into prices for gas in other counties. So that's something I might want to talk to you and kind of pick your brain a little more about gas for us for the upcoming year. Just because that was something I had never thought of in the past, but I wanted you to be aware of where we were at with gas for the year. Total trips for the year, we took 18,118 trips, and our total mileage for the year was 172,718. So getting back to that normal transportation again. So that brings me into my quarterly invoices. I have my expense report that I sent to you. You'll see the reflection of the repairs that we've had in there. The fuel and lube, direct transportation. You'll see at the bottom, our indirect cost was $192,268 was the indirect cost for the fourth quarter minus our revenue, ends up being a $177,754 for the quarter. And then the next page, we broke down the fares. So we made about $13,000 from fares if you combine public transportation, Area 3B, which is for our seniors and disabled, and then the local, which would be any of our Medicaid that we get reimbursed for, and then our punch cards that we sell. We don't have any advertising services on our vehicles. That's something I've been looking back into again. I know Meg wasn't really fond of it, but I don't know a lot about it, so that's something that I would like to look back into this year and see if we can have some advertising services on our vehicles again with wraps and things for different companies. Maybe that's a way we could increase our revenue. I know Rod came on board with me, unfortunately, because we lost Dale. And so that has been a really hard transition for me because Dale has been with me for the first year that I was up here. So, but I'm very happy to have Rod, and he's got a wonderful background with transportation as well. So I'm hoping together we can work together and maybe look into that. So we ended up the quarter at 14,000. And that pretty much brings me to my fourth quarter invoice. So we have used all of our funds available for the year in the state. For the federal, we had 127 left over as funds available, and we were able to use 92,000 of that for our fourth quarter operations. So that leads me to the end for you to sign. Do you have any questions for me about anything?
Questions? Tracy?
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Knox, who was in the administration of DeKalb High School when I was there, I think. So goes back a few years for me anyway. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to see the increase in fares. I think it was overdue, actually, and we got to keep up with the money best we can.
Yeah.
And I think advertising on those, I mean, what's better than a moving billboard?
Right.
So, you know, it's something to look into.
Something to look into.
See if
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long
Okay.
as they're putting the bill up, into our specifications,
Mm-hmm.
to our requirements as far as what they put on those vehicles, whether it's removable or can be removed
Mm-hmm.
easily or not is always going to be a big issue. So
Right.
that would be the thing with that. But
Okay.
yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone?
I've completed a full year. So
Hey.
now it's like I finally have just enough knowledge to,
It takes time.
yes,
Yes.
transportation is a big undertaking. So it's been a lot of work getting my mind wrapped around how all the federal and the state funding work. But I think we had a great year. And I think that we're going to continue to grow. I mean, as far as rider fares. So.
Okay.
Moved.
Motion second. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. And the blue ink.
And blue ink, yes.
And it's blue.
Well, and I'm excited about this compliance review. I know some of my staff are very nervous about it, and I said, yeah, but this is where you get to learn exactly what's right, what's wrong. I mean, Meg was gone 2 weeks after I came into the center, and our transportation person in the past had passed away as well. So Janice and I were kind of just using everything we could through the state and as many resources as we could. Excuse me. So I'm excited to have this compliance review and make sure we're doing everything the way we're supposed to stay compliant. So
Keeping Janice in line.
yes,
Good. All right.
absolutely. Well, she's been busy with travel with Michigan.
Ah,
Her
okay.
daughter's playing.
That's right.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Rod? Okay. We've got 10 minutes till break.
There are 5.
Sign. Okay.
How much of the internet didn't we get going for the first part of the meeting? Did you see when it turned on? Was it the whole time, though? You said we started and you hadn't got it going
No, it's
yet,
just
though?
the clock
Oh, it was
was
only
not
the
This is
clock.
not- Yeah,
it's
no, it's
Only
been
the
on the whole
clock.
time.
I'm sorry, okay.
And for those watching live, when we are done at 10, we will not come back live because you will be going into executive
Executive
session.
session, yeah. Gotcha. The clock just not lighting up?
We had to get a new computer and the connections of it is different.
Different, okay.
Is there any other miscellaneous items we need to clean up?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay, the only thing I've got is the water heater out at Sunny Meadows. We do have one coming Thursday, supposed to be here Thursday. And if it gets there soon enough on Thursday, they will replace that. Either Thursday, if not, it'll be Friday.
Wonderful.
So we're gonna be close to what we allotted, 5,000 for that. But it's Bradford White.
We have to upgrade it further, we will, but I think it'll be sufficient. If not, we'll
You-
we'll add a
yeah.
pony to it, you know.
With the recovery, 80% recovery on that unit, it provides 135 gallons hot water in the first hour.
Pretty good unit, so we'll see. Not commercial really, but it's a good one. It's
Yeah.
Bradford White's a good one.
That's a good one. That's all I had.
It was just easier to let Cody supply it, do the whole thing, than to trade us, go to Menards and get it, and,
Yeah.
As long as it keeps up with the showers and dishwasher, that's all that matters.
yeah. If it doesn't, we can
Yeah.
add a little pony kicker to it, or something.
Yeah. Anything else? Andrew, you have anything for us?
I mean, I think one of the executive session topics, but other than that, I don't think I have anything. I would give you an update that I'm working on a possible agreement with Spencerville Bridge Association. And I've got a good draft of the agreement prepared and sent out to Kyle Pearson for the insurance company to give us any ideas they want on it. It's pretty similar to the agreement that they have with like the DNR or whatever state group that owns land out there as well. And so then it should be ready to be put on an agenda for a vote. We'll get you a copy of that agreement once the insurance has given me any ideas they have on it. I don't think it'll be a big issue.
What's this agreement for?
It's a proposed agreement that there's a Spencerville Bridge Association that has worked to get a path around that area, a walking
For the
path.
path, all right.
Yeah, I think it should be a nice little path there. They would do it at their expense,
Yeah.
and
I'm familiar now, I
yeah.
just didn't realize what the agreement was
That's
for. Okay.
that's what it's for. The state's already done it. Apparently, the state owns some land around there.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
And so I just wanted to give you that update. That's in process, and I've been keeping Mary Hollabaugh Deal apprised of it. She must, I think, either be the president or the liaison for this purpose. So we're working on it.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else?
I spoke with Mike just a little bit about the funding for the highway department, getting that Baker Tilly information to know how to handle the bot end of it. And when do we think we'll hear from that?
Well, Peters is scheduled for.
Is it the 14th?
Yeah.
You told me, and I
Yeah.
slept since then,
Yeah.
so, yeah, so.
So he's scheduled to make
14th.
his presentation, and he did the analysis on the one that Greg Martz presented.
Okay.
The financing, and that's the only one we got, so.
Okay.
He's gonna make his recommendation at the council meeting.
Okay, good, at the council meeting. Okay, great.
I will
Because that's the
be-
only thing really holding us up is the financing
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I will be at the council meeting. I don't know if you're gonna,
Yeah, I'll plan on being
I
there.
mean,
Yeah.
okay. I think that's it then. We can adjourn, right? We are adjourned. We'll take a break. do a pledge, and then we'll be back in executive session to finish off the morning.
Good.